Yeah, good morning, everyone. I have the honor to present our research group on risk-benefit here at DTU National Food Institute. As Christine said, my name is Lea, and I'm a senior researcher in the group. Yeah, and I will give you a short pitch on what we are doing in the group, but also and how we see ourselves contributing to safe and healthy and sustainable diets. So I have entitled my presentation, Healthy and Safe and Sustainable, Oh My, Quantification for Action. I hope you get the reference to Alice in Wonderland. And to me, this cliche, you might say, is a reference to uncertainty, apprehension, maybe even fear. On the other hand, quantification might be what leads us to understanding. And especially when we try to quantify, then we get very aware of which data we are missing in order to understand the concepts. But let me continue here. So this is the front page of WHO and FAO's guiding principles to sustainable and healthy diets. Our group provided input to the consultation specifically on the food safety implications of healthy and sustainable diets. However, one of the outputs of the consultation, or the guiding principles, was this sequence of actions that were identified needed in order to enable the transition of food systems to healthy and sustainable diets. And I have highlighted number 6, which says, quantify and balance the potential trade-offs to make sustainable, healthy diets available, accessible, affordable, safe, and appealing for all. And in my humble opinion, this is exactly what we contribute with in our research group. So, as has been mentioned a few times already in the last half hour, we eat foods, and we need foods to sustain a healthy life. However, we know that this might come at the expense of exposure to some harmful components that may be detrimental to our health. So in risk-benefit assessment of foods, we are actually trying to balance or quantify the trade-offs between food safety and nutritional needs and benefits. So risk-benefit assessment is an interdisciplinary research area that relies on expertise within risk assessment in food safety, both microbiological and chemical. It also relies on human nutrition and nutritional epidemiology. And in our research group, we work within these core disciplines and have competences. So one example is a very good colleague of mine in the group and colleagues other on the institute as well, look into or perform systematic reviews to look into the associations between foods, in this instance dairy products, and major lifestyle diseases. Another area we work in is within the risk assessment and quantification of burden of disease of chemicals and pathogens. And so, for example, we have been ranking different chemicals and the health impact of different chemicals and pathogens and also allergens by how many healthy life years are lost in the Danish population due to these. But when we try to integrate these disciplines in risk-benefit assessment, then we most often work within the area or with the starting point in official recommendations or within the strategies to mitigate public health issues. So I just give you 2 examples here, or 3 examples here on your left-hand side, right? Where in 2 cases we have handled the specific dietary recommendations, the newly issued dietary recommendation, good for your health and also the climate, on the reduction of red and processed meat consumption. And this specific recommendation is not only saying you need to reduce your red meat and processed meat consumption, it also identifies what you should eat instead. And that we have exactly looked at in 2 cases. One case is a risk-benefit assessment of substitution of meat by fish, and another one is where we look at the substitution between red meat and pulses, and what does this mean for public health. Another case we have been looking at is the impact of the very recent increase in the fortification of salt by iodine. And there we have tried to trade off the health impact of removing some people from iodine deficiency, but at the same time also moving some people into excessive intakes. And what does this mean in terms of public health? So all this is based on public health. However, it is the individual that need to make the changes. So we have also tried to look into, you can call it personalized nutrition or precision public health, where we have seen or looked into ways of using quantification to give personalized recommendation, in this case fish intake based on personal diets, but also looking into personal trade-offs between costs and personal preference, and how does this impact personal recommendations. So these are examples. If you want to know the results of these examples, you have to visit our stand in the food fair later this afternoon. And then lastly, I want to highlight that we of course also work within digitalization and knowledge translation. Because if we publish many papers and we write reports, then I'm afraid that this will not lead into action. So therefore we need to get our data out. So at the moment, in current research projects, but also coming research projects, we are working with how can we make our data available via interactive tools or so on, both for decision makers, but also for individuals. And then the last example I want to give, I think this is a really good example, is my colleagues in the group project, the Growboard Universe, that is funded by the Novo Nordisk Foundation. They have created this learning universe where students in our elementary schools, they, via these food computers where they grow their own vegetables and have to control all the things in the small greenhouse, they collect data, they handle data, and they try to quantify their research questions within sustainable and healthy diets. So I think this is a really good example where, okay, this is where we can actually impact future generation and help them to act in the transition to sustainable, safe and healthy diets. So I think that's all from my side. Yes?